Hello, it's Damian Questiny. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. This video is going to be part 2 of the remote viewing protocols that we started discussing in the last video. And I wanted to share with you a little more detail on how that phase 1 or stage 1, everybody has a different name for it. So, whatever term that feels best for you. What we call that when we make the spontaneous movement of the pen, we call that an ideogram. Or if you're a rookie, we would always call it an idiogram, but it's a stupid remote viewing joke. Don't worry about it. But anyway, so you get your little ideogram, and then what you do is you take your pen or your finger, or you smell it, you scratch it, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. However you do your remote viewing protocols, for me, I would push my pen onto the paper. I'd put my pen around it. I'd touch it. I'd feel it. That was the way I interacted with it. I know it sounds weird and stuff, but this is a way for you to build your relationship with the target. And so it's one of the things I like to teach people is how to do that, how to build a relationship, because you get more detail and more information. Once you build your relationship, then it becomes hopefully easier for you to have clarity and accuracy. But let's take a look at the stage 1 mapping and how you position things on paperwork, because remote viewing is about organization and structure, and everything has its own proper place. And here in this image, you will see that this is part of stage 1, how I access data and information. Is everything that goes on the left-hand side is the passive nature of the target, everything on the right-hand side is the active nature, and everything in the middle is the action and the motion in which I am stirring the pot, right? These are things that I want to focus on. Like I'm touching it and I'm feeling it and I'm using all my senses in this particular area. So in stage 1, the passive side would be where you would put all of your target coordinates. And then the middle would be your ideograms, right? Your spontaneous movement of the pen, because this is the action in which you're performing. And on the far right side would be the target details in which you are receiving, and you're trying to name those impressions and expressions, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell anybody out there how I position my pieces. It's kind of like chess, and it's your own little fingerprint, because every remote viewer has its own unique style in which they access the target. But what I will do for you is I will give you how the structure itself is formed, because these are things you won't hear from other remote viewers, because this is how the energy is positioned on paper when you are in your session work, in your target detail work, for how I teach people how to do it. Now, another reason why I don't show you exactly where I put everything as well is I want to, if you guys want to learn this stuff, I can teach you, but I want to meet you first. I want to know who you are before I actually train you on how to do this. And the reason for that is because I have experience in this, okay? And I've been here before, and I've taught people how to do this that may or may not be using it for the right reasons, okay? So anyway. And now I use a little more judgment in those kind of things. And speaking of judgment, I highly recommend that for people out there to, you should always be judgmental at some level and be skeptical and to ask questions and to not accept things. You should try it for yourself. So let's move on. The next image you'll see is part of stage 1 that I want to share with you. Is I want to give you kind of an idea of how you can move the target details in your favor. And when you build a relationship, you have to consider that there are descriptors and anchors in which you need to move yourself within the target details to find out if you're really accurate. So again, everything on the left-hand side will be the passives. That's where you put the target numbers when they're read to you by your monitor, or if you see them on an envelope, or if you receive a phone call. From whoever your handler is, right? And then you write down those things, so that's always going to be the same. Everything on the passive side is always going to be the same. And then you explore and you probe with your ideogram, and then you receive descriptors. Now, what you do here is I recommend that you actually break this part into sections as well. So you're going when you're probing the ideogram in which you drew, you put your pen on that, or you put your pen around it, and you're going to want to break it into 3 different types: primitive descriptors, intermediate descriptors, and advanced descriptors. Now, the primitive descriptors, you want to keep it as basic and as reptilian as you can. Okay, so you're going to say, okay, so when you're probing, you're like, okay, that's hot, that's cold, that's dry, those kind of things, very primitive. Intermediate descriptors, you can, be like, oh, it's really squishy, oh, it's soft, it's fuzzy, these kind of things are intermediate descriptors. And then you go into the advanced descriptors and you'll be like, oh, wait, there's like right angles to it. It's smooth underneath, things like that you start picking up on. So it's a little more detail, but you don't want to get too far into detail where you're like touching and you go like, oh yeah, that's the pyramids, it's sandy. It's obviously it's the pyramids, and you could be totally wrong. It may not be the pyramids. You could actually be on a beach and you're remote viewing a kid's sandcastle, for all I know. So anyway, so that's part of stage one. I wanted to guys kind of finish up the idea on how the target is actually structured, because it's very, very important in remote viewing that your organization and your structure is sound and you're always putting the things in the right places. But I want to share with you how you put things in the right places where it matters, where you will actually receive more accuracy if you follow certain guidelines and certain protocols on your own. And you can create your own map on how to do this and your own access and entry points. So this is why I don't want to show you how I do it. I want you to learn how you can do it. Okay? So you're not relying on somebody else. One of the questions I got in there is, have you met any mentors? Yeah, I have. And I'm a mentor to some people too. But at some point, if those people don't move on and become better than me or become their own unique characteristics and personalities that it's outside of me so that way I can learn from them, then I have failed them, right? Because nobody out there wants followers. We all want, unique individuals that we can have relationships with and be learning and growing. Ripe and rotten, green and growing. All right. I appreciate you all listening. That's stage one of the remote viewing protocols. I hope that helps you. Here's something for you real quick too. Here's some language. Boom. All right. That's just generalities. Everybody's different, but there's some symbols in the subconscious that are pretty universally accepted across all people. All right. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. If you guys want to learn more about remote viewing, you guys just let me know. I've been doing this a long time. And by the way, I noticed one of you guys noticed that I've been talking about John Teeter for a really long time. Yes, I have. Yep, you guys are correct. I noticed one of you sent me something that showed that I was talking about John Teeter back in 2003. Very, very interesting. Oh, and by the way, my phone is starting to freak out right now. All right. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Cheers.